You're telling me about this, I'll tell you about that. Start talking shit, you walk into another trap.
Hello and welcome to the Russell Howard Hour. So, we're all gonna die.
North Korea has said it regards itself at war with America. War.
Fire and fury. War.
War.
Serious stuff.
War. War. War.
War. War.
War.
It is only Monday.
So how did this happen? Well, it all started at the UN last week. Everyone was waiting to hear what Donald Trump would say to the world.
The message is really a message of peace. It's a message of coming together.
Peace, togetherness. So what did he say?
President Trump issued an astonishing threat to North Korea tonight, warning the United States may have no choice but to totally destroy it.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
Fuck you, Rocket Man! It's the UN, it's not a comedy roast. Hey, Rocket Man, it won't be the first explosion your mum's seen. Look! No! Look! Look at the reaction of his Chief of Staff, John Kelly, during the speech. Look at that! That is a man with a tough job. Can you imagine the chat they had before? Okay, you stick to the script. Peace and love. Yeah, sure, yeah. Peace, love, yeah. As soon as he gets out there, hey, Kim! I got small hands. Oh, yeah, I've got small hands. We'll see how small they are when they're in your head. I'm doing it, John. I'm doing it. You'll be like, me so sorry, you dog-eating son of a bitch. I'm on it, John. The world needs leadership. We're on the brink of a nuclear war. We need wisdom. Not a man-child who can barely understand what nuclear weapons are.
This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Bad things make loud noises. So what did Kim Jong-un do? Well, first of all, he went for a walk in an orchard. Then he put on some massive trousers. And then he started slamming Trump.
Let's talk about North Korea. Their leader has upped the war of words with Donald Trump, calling him a mentally deranged US dotard.
And the world went, what's a dotard?
An old person, especially one who has become weak or senile.
He's got a point. Trump invented an African country this week.
I'm greatly honored to host this lunch, to be joined by the leaders of Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Namibia.
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 He is in charge of the free world. Namibia's great. I love Germany. I like Sweden. I'm a fan of Sweden. I love Winterfell. Great Wall. Great Wall. Like, Namibia. Not only was he picking fights with North Korea, he was also picking fights with the NFL.
Donald Trump is not backing down in his row with some of America's most famous sportsmen. Now, it all began when some American football players refused to stand during the national anthem in protest at racial injustice and police brutality.
A peaceful protest to highlight how black people are treated in America. And what did Trump say?
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
So let me get this straight. If a black man protests, he's a son of a bitch. But when white supremacists did it in Charlottesville, that's free speech. He was elected to make America great again. He's brought it to its fucking knees. Also, let's look at the logic of his argument. They're disrespecting the flag. It's a flag! You can't disrespect a flag any more than you can tease the wind. And if you do your research into disrespecting the flag, look at the United States flag code. It says...
The flag should never be used as wearing apparel, bedding, or drapery.
You're not allowed to wear it. Here's one of Trump's supporters. There's more.
The flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever.
You can't use it to advertise. Here's a beer cooler that you can buy from Trump's website. Do you know the one thing the flag code doesn't call disrespectful? Fucking kneeling! Well, I want to know, why is Trump concerned with this? There is so much to sort out in America. He should be providing support to Puerto Rico, giving the people of Flint, Michigan drinkable water, dealing with the fact that every 9 seconds a woman in America is assaulted, and crucially, preventing World War III. That way, the world will be safer, and we can get back to discussing things that matter, like Uber.
Today, Uber has lost its licence to operate in London.
Some 3.5 million Londoners currently use the app, while there are around 40,000 Uber drivers in the capital.
Son of a bitch! Do you know how hard I've worked to get a 4.9 rating? Don't you laugh. I once held a fart in from Victoria to Camden. People were saying black cabs are safer, and you're like, well, someone's never seen Fake Taxi. You got half of you, and that's really funny. Why are you laughing? I have no idea, mother, I have no idea. TfL said that Uber's not fit and proper. Neither's the night bus. Wet seats, puke. There's always a bloke sat next to you. I can talk to cats. The point I'm making, I was gutted. And then I found out the reasons why they've had their licence revoked. They don't vet their staff properly, and allegedly, they haven't reported drivers accused of rape to the police. And you're like, for fuck's sake, Uber, I liked you. It's like finding out every time you use contactless, a puppy gets kicked. Not reporting sex offenders. Who do they think they are, the BBC? It's fine for me to do that joke now. But Uber are challenging the ruling, and their boss has said sorry and promised to make things right, which would be great, because that way, Uber gets back on the streets, passengers are safe, the drivers are looked after, and most importantly, I can keep my 4.9 rating. I need that sweet rating. In British political news, the Tories were trying to win over the youth vote this week. So, were they talking about student debt, housing, employment? No, they did this.
Several Conservative MPs are gathering today under canvas at a country estate in Berkshire that's been dubbed a Tory Glastonbury.
They had a Conservative Glastonbury. That sounds like a right laugh, doesn't it? Oh my God, it's pandemonium. I got champers all over my chinos. You know they're going to try and come up with a Tory version of the Jeremy Corbyn song. Imagine that. Just some bloke in tweed. Theresa May, your Brexit's on fire. They'll have a Tory grime artist. Just, Labour's got Stormzy, but my name's Hugo. Which private school did you all go to? This Tory Gloucester's gonna rock. We'll listen to Theresa, then we'll chase the fox. People are struggling, the country's in a mess. So let's destroy the NHS. All the other rappers come from the street. I love running fast through a field of wheat. It's not what anyone wants to say. A Tory Glastonbury. It looked like the dullest festival ever. I mean, look at their headline act. Was it Jay-Z? Oasis? No, it was Theresa May's Brexit speech. Yeah! That's gonna win the kids, innit? Can you imagine them? Yeah! Theresa's on! This is gonna be epic!
The framework for this strictly time-limited period, which can be agreed under Article 50, would be the existing structure of EU rules and regulations.
Woo! It's madness. If you want to win the youth vote, don't have a shit festival. Start dealing with things that young people care about. Like, I don't know, student debt.
Many graduates in England finished their studies more than £50,000 in debt.
50 grand! It's got so bad that apparently some students in the UK are being driven to work in the sex industry in order to cope with the rising costs of living and university tuition fees. That is not how you should have to get through your education. What do you get at uni? 2-1 and herpes? That is brutal, isn't it? If you're doing physics, you should be studying a black hole, not getting it out. But they're not just attacking teenagers, they're even attacking toddlers. Did you know that since 2014, hundreds of English playgrounds have been closed due to Tory budget cuts? They're robbing kids of the joy of a slide. How much money does it cost to run a slide? That's just metal and gravity. And it's such a joyful part of childhood. You're up there, then you're there. And you learn a new word. Whee! You can't say that as an adult. Will you marry me? Whee! You try it, that's a lovely blowjob. Whee! But who would do this? Don't ever do that, by the way. Who would do this? You'd have to have a leader who was sickened by the sight of children. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, Ross, that's just one photo. She'd probably like the other girl. Join me after the break when I'll be chatting to a former doctor who's written an amazing book about the NHS. The show. Now, I'm going to do something pretty uncool. I'm going to talk about how wonderful the police are in this country. Now, but think of the lack of respect we show them. What do we call them? The pigs, the filth, the rozzers, the fuzz.
Here comes PC plodding his bacon wagon.
What do we call them when we're in trouble? Officer. And I know my relationship with them is very different to you because I'm, of course, white. I've only had one run-in with the police. This guy came up to me with a massive machine gun and went, "Oi, can I have your autograph?" So what I'm saying, I'm not exactly 50 Cent. I've only been mugged once. It was the most middle-class mugging ever. My friend had given birth. I got her some cupcakes. I was walking up the hill to give her the cupcakes. And this man, I say man, he was 14. This 14-year-old white kid confronted me and went, "Oi, you better let me have one of them cupcakes." And I said, "You're not having this? They're for my friend. She's just given birth." And this kid looked at me and went, "Oh, I'm sorry, tell her congratulations." No. What I'm saying is, my life is pretty safe. But the reason why I think the police are wonderful is the shit they have to deal with. Did you know a police officer in this country gets attacked every 20 minutes? They're protecting us from ISIS and muggings and acid attacks, and all the while they're getting punched and kicked and stabbed. And yet, we call them pigs. And people say, oh, comedians, the hardest job in the world. I couldn't deal with that. I don't even like getting tickled. Who does? There's 3 stages of tickling. I'm laughing, I'm crying, I've shit myself. But it's brutal. Not only are the police getting assaulted every 20 minutes, they're also getting attacked by the government. The Met were asked to cut £1.4 billion by 2020. They're being forced to fight crime on a budget. That's why they have to do ridiculous stuff like this. Instead of real police, we have pictures of police in shops to stop people stealing. Fucking pictures! How does that put someone off? I better not steal. There's a drawing of a policeman. Oh my God, there's a tiger over there. No, Dave, that's Frosty's. It's not just cardboard coppers. Because of budget cuts, you get headlines like this. Victims of crime are being asked to use Skype. Police in Leicester have only been investigating burglaries at even-numbered houses. And the most ridiculous, one force in Bedford is even considered sponsored uniforms. Sponsored police. How does that even work? Well, if it isn't the pigs, actually, it's the moonpigs.com. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do say may be used against you as evidence. Down on. Now, what I would say, it's not all the government's fault. It is not all the government's fault. It's us too. We have to take responsibility. Because according to some police officers, 53% of their time was spent dealing with drink-related crime. Over half of their time is spent dealing with us when we're pissed. It's so depressing. The only positive is that's the one thing that the Daily Mail can't blame on Islam. That's the only thing. But it means, instead of dealing with things that matter, the police are having to deal with idiots like this. Come on! Who headbutts a telly? Now, don't get me wrong, having a drink can be wonderful. Everyone likes to see this. We have such a messed up relationship with booze in this country. I mean, did you see this? Police are being sent to Ibiza and Magaluf to control drunk Brits abroad. How British is that? We have to take our own police on holiday with us.
This is my husband Tony, this is my daughter Sarah, and this is PC Watkins. He has to come with us, because when I've had a couple of Prosecco's, I try and chew people's faces off. I'm horrible. I'm an horrible bitch. I got the rage in me. Normally I'm fine, but after a couple of them, I'll kill you.
We waste. That was a bit real, wasn't it? We waste so... That was one of my aunties. We waste so much police time. And when we're not getting bollocks, we're ringing up 999 for pointless reasons. There was a woman who rang 999 because she didn't have enough sprinkles on her ice cream. Who counts the amount of sprinkles that they get on an ice cream? Just,
oh, there's only 78. It says hundreds and thousands on the tin. I'm getting the rage again. Not now, Watkins, not now.
What I'm saying is, the police are having a tough time because of government cuts, but also because we, all of us in this country, are behaving like dicks. Because every time we get too pissed and start a fight, every time we ring up 999 because we're upset Mr. Whippy didn't give us our num-nums, it stops the police from dealing with things that matter, like visiting an old lady who's been robbed, comforting a young woman who's been sexually abused, finding a lost child. They're under pressure, underpaid and underappreciated. And yet, when there's an attack, while we run away, they run towards it. During the London Bridge attacks, PC Wayne Marks received multiple stab wounds fighting armed terrorists with just his baton. If you don't believe... If you don't believe the police deserve respect, listen to his heroic account of that evening.
The first time I knew something was wrong was when I heard a woman scream. She's running towards me screaming until she sort of starts to stumble. And that's when I see the first one sort of gets hold of her and starts attacking her. I charged at him and I swang as hard as I could. Then while I'm fighting the first one, I get a massive whack to the right side of my head. It knocked the lights out of my right eye. I went blind straight away. Then I managed to look up and see the second attacker. I'm literally, with one eye, my baton in my hand, I'm going fighting left to right, left to right. My left leg's just wobbling. I'm thinking, what's wrong with my leg? What's wrong with my leg? I look down and I can see there's a knife moving up and down, moving up and down. And then I realised the first one had got back up and got back into the fight. And I'm just gushing, I'm pouring all over my hand. My uniform is pouring out all over the floor. I only had one voice in my head, and that was, don't go down. Some other officers start to show up, and these other two officers managed to get me on the floor. They sit me down. My one aim was just to keep people alive, and that's what I was trying to do.
And yet we call them pigs. Now, in this week's Playground Politics, I spoke to the children of the world. This is one of my favourite things I've ever done, by the way. I spoke to the children of the world about war.
War, 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 war.
Instead of going to war, what is the best way of solving problems?
Rock, paper, scissors.
That's not a bad idea. Rock, paper, scissors. War, what is it good for?
Fighting.
That's right. What do you make of wars? Would you ever fight in a war?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
Flip, no. I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Okay. What would you fight for?
I would fight for the Queen.
So if the Queen ever went, I need you to go out there and I need you to fight for me.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Would you kill just a small chihuahua for me?
Yeah, but I wouldn't really want to because they're like their nature.
They are, yeah. While we're here, what is your favourite weapon?
A sniper.
Who do you want to pick off?
I would probably pick off a hipster.
A hipster?
Like him?
Yeah, well, it does not kill him. He's a producer, but he doesn't deserve to be killed.
I want to get a grenade and start having fun and start throwing them at trees. I've got a mini egg in my mouth. Me too.
Nice.
Somebody had, I'll get a nice big bomb.
Yep.
And then put it down.
Yep.
And I went around and put gunpowder, so it's in a hill of gunpowder.
Yep.
Get a few grenades and throw it after it. And then boom, 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 boom. I don't want to be in these gun situations. Actually, imagine you had a really powerful machine gun and just one rocket can cause a massive explosion like this big.
Yep.
It will just blow up the entire army.
Yes.
And you would win. I like dabs.
I like dabs. You don't see many dabs after people have just exterminated another race.
If man that killed everyone, there'll be a lot of dead bodies.
That's right.
Can you stop talking? I want to go on to the next thing. Now, my guest this week is a man who spent years at the heart of the NHS and has just released a book about what it's really like to be a junior doctor that's both naturally funny and really insightful. Please welcome the brilliant Adam Kay. How are you, mate?
I'm well.
Good. So you've just written a book on the NHS. I believe, is it 7 years after you left?
7 years after I left.
And why now?
So these were the diaries I kept when I was a junior doctor.
Right.
And then, you remember a year and a bit ago, junior doctors weren't having the best time of it.
Yes.
And Jeremy Hunt wasn't being very nice.
It's a lovely way of putting it, yeah.
Jeremy Hunt was claiming that doctors were striking because they were being greedy.
Yes.
And they weren't, and he knew that. And it was like a dagger in my heart every time he said on the media doctors were being greedy, because he's got a very loud voice, he's got access to all the media.
Yes.
Doctors have a very quiet voice. You know, they're doctors, they're at work being doctors. And I thought, the public don't actually understand what it actually means to be a doctor, the toll it takes on your day-to-day life at home and at work. And I had these diaries I'd kept whilst I was a doctor, which were a fair reflection of what it was like.
And now the book's out?
The book's out. It's called This Is Going to Hurt, Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor. And it's literally that. The sad stuff and the funny stuff and the mundane stuff and the boring stuff and just everything it means, adding up to people who aren't greedy. So I wrote this book because every doctor's got the same story, but no doctor's got the time to, you know, go out and say the truth of it. And
it's a brilliant book.
Thank you so much.
You should be really proud. And I think it's something that we're all fascinated in. I'm interested in it because my girlfriend's a doctor.
You've got skin in the game.
I do have skin in the game, literally. And
that's not making it in, is it?
No, that will make it in.
Yeah.
That's another thing she says. What I'm fascinated about you guys is that accusation that you're greedy. You know, like I always feel like I feel bad for the job I have, and I love my job, but I get paid doing a job that is ultimately silly versus doctors that do something that is vital, and they never complain about how much they get paid. Like every day my girlfriend will come home, she'll have stories about people she saved or people she couldn't, and that's what motivates and drives them.
Exactly, the best interest of the
patient.
patient.
And it feels like there's a real, like, the sort of Mail and the Express, there's this desire to paint you out as these kind of, you know, oh, look at them, they're getting all this money. And you're like, A, you're not getting this money, and B, everybody has been impacted by the NHS. They cared for my nan and granddad when they died, and they did it beautifully and with respect and with tenderness. And everyone has a story, and it kind of kills us. Because look at you, you know, you look knackered. You look like... But,
and I haven't worked for 7 years.
Yeah, I know. But before that, you were, like, didn't you delivered, am I right in saying, is it 1,200 babies?
It was somewhere in the order of 1,200 babies.
1,200 babies?
Yeah.
Can you remember the first time when it kind of came out?
I do. So I was doing a forceps extraction, so sort of salad tongs, pulling the baby out, and I was being guided through by my boss.
Yeah.
And she was talking me through it, and I just delivered the baby.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Well done, you've done amazingly well." And I said, "Thank you so much." And I realised she was talking to the papa.
That was so brilliant. See, the other thing that fascinates me about doctors, what's it like breaking bad news?
Breaking bad news is not the best part of the job.
Yeah.
You want to be able to give people good news. But the most memorable bit of bad news for me wasn't we did everything we could, or I'm afraid it's cancer. It was slightly more unusual. I had to tell a woman that something unpleasant had happened to her frail, elderly father the night before, that unfortunately the gentleman in the bed next to her father's had become very agitated overnight and got confused and thought that her father was, in fact, his own wife. And that by the time the nurses attended, this gentleman had unfortunately straddled her father and ejaculated onto his face. And the woman said,
"Did you try and pass that off as a sneeze?"
She took it very, very well. It's important not to lie to your patients. And she said, "Well, at least it didn't go any further than that."
Who has to clean him down? Because, that is not a lucky person on thousands if you kind of go, "Adam, yeah, there's a bloke with spunk on his face."
Yeah.
Off you pop.
No one working in a hospital at any time is in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know, be it love of cleaning up semen or money, one hopes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, doctors are all people who were on for straight A's at A-level and decided, you know, of all the options available to them, they could go into the city, they could do any number of things if they had the dollar signs in their eyes, but they don't. They decide to go in because they want to help people. And then if people in politics lie and say they're being greedy, and and the public, that's all they hear. You know, you can only react to what you're hearing.
And with that desire to save, have you ever done something that maybe you shouldn't have done just to help a patient?
All doctors every day, you know, stay 2 hours late after work or whatever because you can't leave someone who's bleeding, or you can't, you know, it's not an option to go home on time always. But one that sticks in my mind, there was an 85-year-old gynae cancer patient who broke our hearts on the ward round. She told us that she missed her late husband and her children had barely visited her, and she couldn't even have her normal whiskey nightcap when she was in the hospital. So I played Boy Scout and prescribed whiskey 50 mils once a night on her drug chart, and I gave the house officer, the most junior doctor, I gave him 20 quid to go to the supermarket to
Out of
buy
your
a
own
bottle.
money?
Out of my own money.
Fucking legends. And stuff like that. But that in a nutshell, that is caring for people, isn't it? Because it's like, in that instant, you've got a very frightened old lady who needs a home comfort, and you, not on a huge amount of money, went, oh, get her that, it'll be sweet. It's beautiful.
However...
Okay.
In the morning, the ward sister reported that she declined her whiskey because, and I quote, Jack Daniels is fucking cat piss.
Well, there you go. What's the weirdest thing you've ever fished out of someone? That's another...
Well, that's a very good question.
Come on, you always see these, there's always there's like a Ken doll in someone.
I'm only struggling to think because there were so many. Right. So it was generally special occasions that made people do weird things with things. So, like, Christmas had its fair share, had a stuck fairy, in fact, not a Ken doll. I had a mistletoe contact allergy causing a big vaginal swelling. I had vaginal burns from someone sticking a string of lights inside and turning them on. Bringing you immediately to the phrase, I put the Christmas lights up myself.
Yes. Yeah. I think they cut that from Home Alone, that scene. Here's a good question for you. Do you think Jeremy Hunt's read your book?
He's definitely got a copy of my book, and I know this because I sent him one, and then every single book signing I've done, at least one person during the signing has come and said, can I have a second copy to send to Jeremy Hunt?
Wow.
So he's got this sort of fucking pile of them on his desk.
We have to do that. Absolutely. So everyone buy a copy of this book and then buy another copy, put to Jeremy and send it to him.
There's a possibility.
And also, you're going to be minted out of this as well.
Yes, I'll be able to afford a chair made out of chair.
Fucking hell. Do you not like this? I think it's all right. Are you not a fan?
I mean, you'd send it back, wouldn't you? This arrived from IKEA.
I like it, but I like you.
I suspect he may read it. I don't think it'll change his mind. Bear in mind that this is a man who got in a statistical argument with Stephen Hawking about who was right, which is the intellectual equivalent, I guess, of ripping off your shirt and jumping into a tiger's den and screaming, "I fucking have you, pal." Whether or not he reads it, he's not going to believe that he's wrong, is he?
Have you met Jeremy Hunt?
I've not met him.
If you met him and you had to say one thing, what would it be?
I would
he might
say,
be watching this show, so we might be able to send it to him.
If he is watching the show, and if I ever did meet him, I would beg him to do some shifts with junior doctors, because I know ministers go round hospitals, but that's the chief executive taking them around some brand new ward that's shiny like a space station. I'd have him literally shadow a junior doctor to see what the job actually is, to see him witness, a trauma victim having their leg amputated. He needs to see someone delivering a dead baby, a cancer patient being palliated, because I defy any human being to know what that job actually is, and then question a doctor's motivation, because he'd be fucking applauding them, and he'd be proud of them, and he'd be humbled by them and every single healthcare professional, and never again would he ever claim that doctors are being greedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Adam Kay. So brilliant. Well done. Absolutely brilliant. Join me for the final part of the show when I'll be finding out how to make the world a better place. This week, it was reported that the end of the world was going to happen. Right? Look at that. Apparently, it was meant to be last Saturday. But luckily, it didn't happen. But what I did, I asked the brilliant comedians Harry and Chris to write a song about it. I saw these guys at the Edinburgh Festival last year. It's in a tiny little venue. They're amazing. You are going to love them. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harry and Chris!
Pause. Check mine, check yours.
Pulse still going.
Thoughts still flowing.
Hair still growing.
What?
Slowly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but recently, did you see that thing in the news?
With the dog?
No, the other thing.
I think I did too, with the dude.
And the dude.
And the dog.
No, the nukes.
Not the dog.
No, the nukes.
Okay, what we gonna do?
Well, they both got something to prove.
Tiny hands.
And could use them to press a big button if they choose.
So before two goons blow up the world around them, we're here to make a quick announcement.
Stop what you're doing, go and tell your friends.
The world is about to end. Again.
We know it was before, but this is now and that was then.
The world is about to end. Against to go
crazy. There's only a few days left. They want a PDF, just send them a JPEG.
And forget practicing safe sex. There's no time for practice, just do it badly.
If everything's about to be destroyed anyway, why not find a reckless way to end your days?
Do something you've only ever dreamed of.
And if you can't think of any, try these ones.
Treat yourself to a meal, at the end don't tip, and then use that cash to buy a bag of crisps. A really big bag of crisps. Have a wee without locking the door just for bands.
That is mad.
And then don't wash your hands.
Oh.
Stay up till like 1 in the morning,
yeah.
2 in the morning,
yeah.
2:15 in the morning.
Woo.
When someone asks you why are you yawning, say we'll sleep when we're dead.
Which might be quite soon. You wanted to date Sam at the office for ages, why not tell them that you'd like to try it? I mean, not to their face, that's properly crazy, but leave them a note, and if the world ends, then they might not find it.
We're saying is go relatively crazy,
yeah,
in a way that is safe and non-expensive. Just in case you wake up and the world doesn't end, because you will have to live with the consequences.
The world as we know it is over.
Like when I found out race car was a palindrome.
The world as we know it is over.
Like the first time I tried Marmite and cheese.
The world as we know it is over.
Every Wetherspoons has a different carpet.
The world as we know it is over.
And human babies don't have knees.
The world... Wait, what?
It's just cartilage till they're about 3.
Is that true?
Yeah, I've got a niece, which sounds like knees, which is already confusing, and just some squeezy knees. If you know any babies, ask their parents' permission. Change your life.
Babies don't have knees?
They don't have knees. I do, but I'm grown up.
What we're trying to say is that every day the world changes and ends and begins.
Because every moment is precious.
Don't let boneheads with weapons change the way that you live.
You see, it's less rapture, more new chapter.
Less apocalypse, more just get on with it.
Less Armageddon, more I'ma get on with it.
Well, let's get on with it. Stop what you're doing, go and tell a friend.
The world is about to end. Again.
We live and we die just like dragonflies.
The world is about to end.
Again.
Why are they called dragonflies? All dragons fly.
They should just be called mini dragons.
See, the issue with your end of the world predictions.
If it comes true, you might feel conflicted.
Because on the one hand, everyone that you know and love will die.
On the other hand, it is nice to be proved right.
The proof's in the pudding, and the pudding is death. The fact is, as a human race, we have survived so many apocalypses.
Apocalypse.
So forget Rocket Man and some orange guy. Let's go out and get on with our lives. Oh, we're still here. 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 We're still here.
They said we wouldn't make it, but we're still here.
So many things that tried to take us, but we're still here.
We survived the Cold War.
More like the old war.
We survived smallpox.
I pity the fool pox.
Foot in mouth disease.
Foot in mouth disease.
Millennium bug.
Millennium shrug. They thought the Earth and a comet might seem to collide, but that meteorite went by with me to your right.
Shout out who remembers Black Death.
Exactly, everyone is over it. We're still here, we're still here, we're still here, we're still here. We're still here, we're still here.
They said we wouldn't make it, but we're still here.
It's time to celebrate the fact that we are still here.
So stop what you're doing, go and tell your friends.
The world's not about to end, we're still here.
Learn from the past, we made it this far.
We've not yet got to the end.
So come out of your bunker, hang out with your friends. The
world's not about to end. There's no time like the present, your life is in session. Maybe the world won't end yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, last week I asked for people watching the show to send me your good deeds, all the wonderful things that you've done or someone's done for you. Did you deliver? Yes, you did. SRH said, I take my dog to do therapy work at home for people with dementia. It's a lovely thing to do. But look at the dog again. Surely that dog deserves food, right? Martin wrote to me to say, I once paid for a room in a boutique hotel for my parents' anniversary after failing to get laid in it myself. That is lovely and creepy all at the same time. Ollie Sanders said, I gave a man toilet paper when he ran out of it. That's just creepy, although some people are applauding. Diane Aitken said, I donated my wedding dress to a charity that transformed it into a burial outfit for stillborn babies. What an amazing thing to do, Diane. But my favourite, my mate Steve sent me this. Mate, you've got to watch this. It's amazing. I did. It was. Have a look at this.
Well, welcome to Team Unlimited. This is where we design, print, build and fit 3D printed hands and arms for children for free. We build it for children in any colours they want, any theme. Our arms are designed specifically to stand out, to show off a child's personality.
Steve's arm doesn't just look good, its beauty also lies in its simplicity. The child just straps it on and they're away. To clench the fingers, they just bend their elbow, which tightens elastic bands and makes a fist. Straightening the elbow relaxes the elastic and opens the hand.
Yay!
That's one of the hands I've been given in the past, as you can tell, like something out of a medieval torture chamber.
To grab anything, you have to undo that wing nut, put the thing you're picking up in there, and then tighten it up again.
Yeah, and this is only like 5 years old.
No!
And this is the starting point that led me to doing this. It was my inspiration to make things better, you know?
Remarkably, Steve doesn't make a penny from all his extraordinary work. His production costs are met by donations and money raised by the grateful parents of children he's helped. Steve wants everyone to benefit from his design, so he shared it online. The template is easy to customise with individual measurements, and thanks to the proliferation of 3D printers, there are now children all over the world wearing Steve's arm.
Just what I wanted!
What a hero. What a hero. And he does it all for free. Thank you very much for watching the show. Good night, my friends. Farewell.
Huddersfield face Tottenham Saturday at 11:30 in the morning on Sky Sports Premier League.